Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's session on healthy summer foods. And I kind of shortened today's session title, but we have the wonderful Nimisha Gandhi here. She's a functional medicine nutritionist, Ayurvedic counselor, yoga and meditation teacher, and also a clinical researcher and tech founder. And she's going to give us a ton of information. I would ask everybody to be open about asking questions and definitely grab a pen and paper for some notes. But Namisha, I'm going to hand it over to you to get us started. Thank you.
Thank you for having me back again. I'm excited to present today's topic on summer wellness. And, what's on everyone's mind when we hear the word summer? Usually I hear weight loss, like I need to get ready to look good on vacation or in my summer clothes. And I have a whole different mindset about weight loss and what that means. And I think of it more as a wellness goal and not so much as I need to shed these pounds. And because dramatic weight loss doesn't really work, so I'll just get that out of the way. Doing rapid like detoxing and all of those things, they are not they don't work, and they can be actually detrimental to your metabolism and mental health long term. And so I'm going to dive right into it. Yes, feel free to put comments in the chat. I'll try to answer them as we go along. Maybe Nancy can help me navigate the comment section. Okay. So this is my nutritionist guide to summer wellness. And I really want to emphasize wellness because our health and our wellness goals are really something that we work on incrementally over a long period for sustainable, long-lasting achievement. People who do rapid weight loss usually end up gaining that weight just as rapidly back, and sometimes even more than what they've lost. And weight isn't a determinant of our health. So, I think health comes in all shapes and sizes. I just thought this image was really beautiful. So if we could just kind of mirror our breath to this image, breathing in as slowly and breathing out as our breath pulls into the shore and out back into the sea. And a huge part of wellness is just paying attention to our breath. They've done so many studies on how breath can just impact our emotional well-being, but also our digestive tract, our the way we metabolize food as well. So, if one wellness goal you wanted to take away for today is pay attention to your breath, slow it down, breathe from your belly, out through your mouth. And if we have time, we could spend a little more time doing another breathing exercise at the end. So let's start off with the best way to lose weight, live fit, stay young, and be more efficient is to live a healthy lifestyle. Incorporate healthy lifestyle actions gradually so that it's a smooth transition. This will soon become a habit and transform into a healthy lifestyle over a period. And it takes at least 21 days to create a habit that will start to stick. So we really have to stick with the new things that we incorporate into our lives too. So, once in my nutrition practice, when someone asks me, they want to lose weight. So the first thing, there are a few things I always ask, like, why do they want to lose weight? What is the reason? Is it because we're trying to fit someone else's expectation of how should we look? Or is it truly that we want to feel better in our bodies? Maybe we're having, to improve our lab numbers, improve our health, improve our self-esteem. And if we do lose that weight, will our self-esteem and confidence actually go up, or is that truly the intention behind your goal? The second thing I always ask is, okay, well, what are you eating? Because they say that 80% of our weight loss goals and our fitness and health is 80% dependent on what we eat and only 20% on everything else. I don't know if those numbers or statistics is true. I would say more like maybe 70% and then 30% other things. And I will talk about those other things as well. So think about your body and your and what you eat as a bank account. So think of your body as the bank account, and the foods you eat, whether you're putting that as a deposit into your bank account or withdrawing. And what is ultimately saved in your nutritional bank account will determine what is lacking for your health and making you weight loss resistant. And the truth is, majority of Americans are lacking crucial vitamins, minerals, fibers, and phytonutrients due to consuming a nutrient deficient diet. So, like basically in the image on top, majority of Americans are eating donuts, candies, sweetened food, processed foods, versus the image on the left, which is all vegetables and fruit and freshness. And so I want you to think of one side as a staple necessary for our bank account, and the other side as a luxury item. We don't indulge in luxury items every day. We can't afford to. Our pocketbooks can't afford luxury items every single day. So think of that as our body too. We cannot afford these luxury foods as our majority of meals. They are for enjoyment and pleasure, and we should reserve a time to truly enjoy them while we're building up our nutritional reserves with the fresh fruits and vegetables and wholesome foods. So again, just driving home my point, the average American diet consists of excess sodium, saturated fat, refined grains, and calories from refined fats and added sugars. And diet, and there is no escaping this. What you eat determines your health. What you eat, there's a saying like, you are what you eat. I also say you are what you digest also. And so diet can positively or adversely affect all aspects of your health. And not just our physical health, our mental health too. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and food plays a really big role in how we even feel. And if the nutrient is absent in your diet, then it is absent in your body. So this is, on one side, you see the pyramid. On the other side, you see a plate. The pyramid is what has been told to us for the last 60 years, and it doesn't work. Ever since this model actually has been introduced, the rates of obesity, heart disease, diabetes has skyrocketed. And less than a decade ago, this plate model was introduced, and everyone has a little bit of their version. This is the one that I have found to work over and over again clinically in my practice, but also all the research points to this way. And so the problem with this pyramid model is that it puts too much emphasis on eating whole grains, or just eating refined grains of all sorts, right? Like from pastas to anything that's been milled down to a flour. And this right here, we think that like the meat and vegetables and fats are what are causing heart disease and obesity, but it actually is an overconsumption of grains. And the reason being is that these grains ultimately, shoot up your blood sugar and leads to diabetes and obesity. pre-diabetes and diabetes. And even if you are not diabetic or pre-diabetic, it messes with your insulin hormone so much that you start accumulating fat, have trouble digesting, and have brain fog and all of these issues. And think about it, like, you were like, well, I don't eat that many carbs. But I'm not talking about you here specifically, I'm talking from all the examples I've had in my nutrition practice. When I look at a person's food journal, I see in the morning they had a bowl of cereal and like a whole wheat toast with no butter or anything, because they're trying to avoid the fat. And then less than 2 hours later, they're hungry, they're in the office, so they munch on some crackers. And then it's lunchtime, and then lunch, they have maybe like a salad with some chicken in it, with more bread, or maybe they'll have some pasta. And then, then they get really sleepy after this lunch. So then they get coffee or maybe a Starbucks latte. And then around 3 or 4 o'clock, they're hungry again. So whatever is in their office, maybe a granola bar or maybe a fruit. And then at dinner, again, it's like maybe like a rice bowl with some protein, some veggies, but the base of their dinner, again, is grain-based. So that dinner, that whole day of eating is probably 80% carbohydrates and like 10% of or 20% of everything else. And we have found that if people who wear continuous glucose monitors and we measure them, I wore one and experimented on myself too for 2 months. That really leads you into, really close to pre-diabetes and diabetes levels. And you do that one day, that's fine. You do it for 2 days, that's fine. But if you're doing that for 50 weeks out of 52 weeks of the year, that is going to impact you. And so this is a more sustainable model. And I feel if you can adapt to this, you are going to you're going to notice significant improvements in your health, and definitely weight loss. A lot of people come to me for other things like fertility, pregnancy, and whatnot, and they inadvertently lose weight because they adapt to eating more like this. And so I say sometimes going on a healthier path, weight loss is a happy side effect. It doesn't even have to be the main goal. So 50% of your plate is non-starchy vegetables. I would say maybe even like 45% of your plate is non-starchy vegetables and 5% of it is fruit. And non-starchy vegetables is very different than starchy vegetables, because non-starchy vegetables are like leafy greens, bell peppers, chard, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, all of that. But then your starchy vegetables are potatoes, anything that really grows underground, like potatoes, carrots, sweet potatoes, beets, because they have a higher carbohydrate and higher fiber content and a higher sugar content. So a lot of times, when my clients are pre-diabetic or at the risk of being pre-diabetic or diabetic, I actually tend to tell them the only carbohydrates for a little bit that they should eat are the starchy vegetables and lentils and legumes, and stay away from anything that has flour in it, like whole wheat flour, so bread and pastas, and they start to see a dramatic shift. I have had clients who have been able to stick with this for a little bit, and their numbers improve so much by doing other things too, not just changing their diet. Then they can enjoy pasta when when they want to for pleasure. It still might not be a good idea to make it like 80% of their meal, but maybe like 10 or 15% of their meal. And protein is a huge factor in weight loss. I really don't think enough Americans are eating I don't think Americans are eating enough protein and the quality of protein. And oftentimes when you're eating protein, what it is paired with like a giant bowl of rice, like I'm Indian, so it's usually like all the different Indian breads like naan and roti and like pizza, like you had a pepperoni pizza and you're like, oh, this has protein in it, but it has it's an imbalanced ratio of carbohydrates and protein. And we need healthy fats too. I just realized this picture doesn't have healthy fats, but I would say about 10% of your meals should be healthy fats. And I'll get into that. So you don't have to start, it can be very overwhelming to think about how to like change up your diet and things. And I say, you can just make what you're already eating nutrient dense. So, pasta, let's say you're eating pasta with sauce. So instead of using store-bought sauce, because my biggest issue with store-bought sauce is the added sugar content. And then the second is that instead of using olive oil, it's usually like an inflammatory oil, like a vegetable oil, corn oil, soy, canola oil. So if you already have high inflammation, I would say avoid those oils. So those are my two issues with store-bought sauce. But even if you had to use store-bought sauce because it is convenient and we don't always have time to make things from scratch. What you could do to that pasta bowl is, well, on the side, have some grilled chicken and limit your pasta, your bowl, your size, to your serving size to a cup of pasta, and make sure you have a lot of veggies. So easy things I like adding into my pasta are lots of herbs. Herbs count, but also like spinach or bell peppers, zucchini. In the summertime, I love zucchini pasta. So you can add things into what you're already eating to just add more of a, like adding more bang to your buck for each meal. So, but the three rules are you want to eat plenty of quality protein with almost every meal. The protein is going to satiate you. It's going to prevent your insulin from going on a roller coaster. And it's going to prevent that any carbohydrate you eat from being rushing into your bloodstream and then leaving you hungry really quickly. Protein is also really important for weight loss. It's important for muscles. And guess what? As we get older, we start losing our muscles, and it's called sarcopenia. And research has found that our muscles actually help reabsorb that circulating insulin, thus further helping us lose weight and stay healthy. So again, if we don't have enough muscle, one, start doing some weight lifts. I have my trusty weight band with me all the time. I could show you an exercise or two while just sitting on my desk, what you could do with this weight band. But having, doing some weight training exercises, but you could be doing weight training exercises and still not building muscle if you're not eating enough protein. So quality proteins include organic unprocessed meat. So I would say stay away from deli meats and hot dogs and bacon, unless it's like unprocessed, like they have paleo bacon, which doesn't have all those nitrates and things added to it. You could even get grass-fed beef hot dog that's unprocessed, but like a regular hot dog that you get at most, like at a hot dog stand, I would say avoid those because that one drives up inflammation. We know that processed meats are linked to heart disease and weight gain, but organic unprocessed meats actually have omega-3 fatty acids that actually help fight inflammation and give you critical nutrients. It's not just protein, it's all the different amino acids. Red meat in particular is the only source of B12 vitamins. So I don't think meat is bad. I don't think you need to go become 100% vegan to lose weight. You can do it in a very healthy way on a omnivorous diet. Beans and legumes are really good sources of protein. Nuts and seeds, also some, dairy products, unprocessed dairy products can be a good source of protein. Eggs. What else am I forgetting? Oh, tofu. Edamame, soybeans are a really great source of protein too. Complex, and you want to choose complex carbohydrates. I am not anti-carbs, and I think it really depends on you and where you are at and your health goals. But if you go completely carb free, you may also be unsatiated and still a little bit hungry. The wonderful thing about complex carbohydrates is that they provide fiber, and fiber is really what's important for our gut health. They're also mood boosters because complex carbohydrates contain a lot of B vitamins and magnesium and minerals. So I say sweet potatoes, buckwheat, quinoa, whole wheat or lentil pasta, sourdough bread. If you're choosing a bread, the only bread I would say eat is sourdough bread because it's made traditionally. So you want the kind that when you come home with the loaf of bread, you have to cut into it yourself. And read the ingredients. The ingredients should just really have flour, water, and salt maybe, or yeast even. You want to avoid things that have added sugars to it or a long list of ingredients, because then now it's not really a whole food, it's been a processed food. And you want to avoid things that have turned into flour form. So I think going gluten-free can work really well for a lot of people, and there are different reasons to go gluten-free. And you don't have to be 100% gluten-free. You could be like 80% gluten-free, but the big red flag or the danger with going gluten-free is that I don't want you to go from a regular chocolate chip cookie to a gluten-free chocolate chip cookie, or a regular pizza to a gluten-free pizza, because again, whatever they had to do to, if they're taking potato or rice, and then they have to make it into a flour, that again is like shooting up your insulin. And so that is not a sustainable way. But like if you could eat like a porridge where it's still kind of chunky, or oatmeal, and then buckwheat and quinoa still in its whole form, that is so much better for your body, your digestive system, your insulin, and can help you lose weight. And all you want to do is be mindful of how much carbohydrates are on your plate. I think it is so easy to overdo carbohydrates. And you want to prioritize healthy fats. So olive oil, coconut oil, grass-fed butter, ghee, avocado oil, cold pressed nut and seed oils. Those are what I consider healthy fats. There's a really good book called Eat Fat to Lose Fat, and it has a lot of great information about how healthy fats can actually be a big driver in helping you lose weight. So they've done studies like for people who eat like an avocado a day for about 2 months. They saw significant improvements in their heart health and in their weight loss goals. And so, you don't have to eat an avocado every day, maybe a couple of times a week. And then, but, because avocados, what's so wonderful about them is that they are really healthy fats. They're just like pure fat and pure fiber, and they're delicious and they taste good in so many places. So, but coconut oil, I say don't worry about saturated fats and such from whole food sources like coconut oil or even grass-fed beef. I would say worry about saturated oils from fried foods, from again, your desserts and your bakery items, and and chips and crackers. That's where you have to worry about. I think, we forget what's real food and what's been industrially made food, and that can make a significant difference in your diet. So this is my top 10 hacks for weight loss. I'm just going to jump right into it, and then I am happy to answer questions and spend more and more time on each point. But this is my top 10 hacks for weight loss. I have seen this clinically work over and over again. But it is a slow process. It's not, if you wanted to lose weight, if you wanted to lose like 3 pounds in the next week, you could go on an all water diet, or you could sit in the sauna and sweat out, and you would be losing water weight essentially, but it's going to come right back, and it's not sustainable. And, I don't recommend week-long water fast, because you'll be really weak and you won't be able to function. I'm not, fasting can be really great, and we could talk about intermittent fasting too. So start the morning with a high protein, high fiber breakfast within 60 minutes of waking. And this is important because if we start off our mornings with like a bagel or a donut or a bowl of cereal, we will be hungry rather fast again. We might still have a lingering sweet taste or craving in our mouth, even though we just ate. And just having a bagel with cream cheese, that's just pure carbohydrates. You might get a little bit something from the cream cheese, but not really. And there's nothing, like it's missing protein, it's missing vegetables, it's missing color. And you're going to burn through that really fast. I say half a bagel could make for a nice little snack in the middle of the day. I wouldn't call it breakfast food. I think Americans' versions of breakfast food is really off. It's not really for our benefit. And if you look at breakfast foods around the world, like in Asia, they're eating lentil crepes that have been fermented overnight, and fish and rice, and omelets and eggs, and even sausage. I would prefer sausage for breakfast over a bagel or a donut, because at least it has some quality fat and it has a lot of protein. And then you could pair that with like even a toast versus just a bagel that has no fiber, nothing but carbohydrates. And it's like empty calories. That's what I call a luxury food. So you want to really start your morning with a high protein, high fiber breakfast. My hacks for this is like, making a quiche, and then just taking out a slice every morning and heating it up in the oven or in the microwave, and that's your instant breakfast. Or making like egg muffins. You could even have, if an oatmeal that you make yourself, and then you can add on your own toppings. There's so many different high protein, high fiber breakfast ideas. My favorite is just to eat a couple of eggs with a quarter cup to a half a cup of black beans, tortilla, and like some sauteed greens. And that is a perfect breakfast for me. And you want to eat within 60 minutes of waking. If you go to, and this is dependent, if you're doing like intermittent fasting, it might work differently, but most people, especially people over the age of 35, and if you're experiencing stress in your life, as most of us are, if your cortisol is off, if you don't sleep well at night, or you even have night sweats, those can be all indications that your cortisol is really high or imbalanced. I don't recommend, and new parents, I don't recommend, because they're already like sleepless, I don't recommend them to do intermittent fasting or really long windows of fasting. I think because when you go too long without eating, you're indicating to your body that there's a food scarcity. And then that primes our body to hold on to the calories that we do put in even more, because our body thinks that we are living in starvation state. So I say, you could try intermittent fasting, but try all this other stuff first. So try just eating 60 minutes of waking. If you can't even change the content of what you're eating, just try eating 60 minutes within waking. And then have caffeine 60 minutes post your meal. Oh, I think someone is messing with my slide presentation. Do you see the red marks?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Is that someone?
I'm sorry. I must have did it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
okay. I
sorry.
just wanted to make sure that we weren't getting like hacked or something.
I'm sorry. My name is Diane Williams. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Is there a way to remove that?
I don't think so. I'm
Oh,
trying to
there
look
it's
for a
gone.
way now. You got it?
It's
Perfect.
gone. Okay, great.
Thank y'all.
Okay. So we don't want to have caffeine on an empty stomach. We really do want to wake up, have a glass of water, have our breakfast, and then have caffeine. One, we want to wait 30 to 60 minutes post-meal to have our caffeinated beverage. It's because caffeine actually interferes with the absorption of a lot of nutrients. So let's say you have like the best breakfast, but you're sipping your coffee with it. You may not be able to absorb all of the nutrients from that really amazing breakfast. And having caffeine on empty stomach, again, speeds up your metabolism, but you're not giving anything to your metabolism. So then again, it's like almost like putting your body in that starvation mode. But instead, if you start having caffeine already after your stomach's a little bit full, it's so much better for your cortisol, your stress response, your insulin, and even better if you could, instead of just drinking straight black coffee, if you could add a healthy fat source to it. So like even, I don't recommend creamers, but like whole fat milk or an almond milk, or a lot of people add like MCT oil or butter to their coffee. And butter coffee actually comes from Tibet. It's a traditional drink in Tibet and all like Siberia and all of those highly elevated countries. And it works. And we talked about this. You want your plate throughout the day, whether it's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, to resemble this formula a little bit. 40% non-starchy vegetables, about 30% protein, 20% healthy fats, and 10% complex carbohydrates. Now, this is like if you really are trying to lose weight and you have specific goals. If you are an athlete, very active person, you might need a little bit more carbohydrates. And you could play around with the numbers a little bit, but this is just kind of like a sample I'm throwing out there. You do want your eating windows to be around 8 to 10 hours. So you don't want to be grazing from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. Studies have shown that even if you eat like a salad late at night, and I consider late at night anything after 8 p.m., that can mess with your insulin levels. So you really want to, try to avoid, keep your eating window maybe from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. or whatever that is, about a 8 to 10 hour window. And then the rest of the time you're fasting. So that is the kind of intermittent fasting I suggest you start out with, instead of, just some people have crazy eating windows. They'll only eat from 12 p.m. to like 4 p.m. I don't recommend that. That is what I call a bro dude diet. It really works for like a 20 something year old male body. It doesn't work for the rest of society. You want to treat processed foods as luxury foods, which I already mentioned. This is key. You want to eat less than 12 grams of added sugars daily. I think if you can't change anything much than what your breakfast looks like, and then really looking out for the added sugars in your diet, you will start cutting out already a lot of foods that you can't eat. I say added sugar, so I'm not counting fruits here. I'm not counting like the sugars in your carrots or the sugars in your blueberries. I'm talking about like the sugars in your ketchup, your soy sauce, your salad dressing, syrup, candy, chocolate, the chocolate we like to munch on. Your sodas and your drinks, juices, even like even a glass of orange juice can have like 20 grams of sugar. The American Heart Association recommends an adult only have like 18 grams of sugar on a daily basis anyways, but most adults consume about 36 grams of sugar every day, and even a lot more, like twice as much. 36 is a conservative number that I'm giving you. So read your ingredient labels and read what's in it. If the first few ingredients there's like sugar or rice corn syrup or honey or whatever other names they have for sugar, I would avoid that food, especially if you have a specific goal in mind. Eating in a calm environment without distractions is really important. If we are eating in a stressed state or a distracted state, we are not going to be digesting our food. It's actually going to cause digestive upset. It can lead to, just like a whole host of problems, but then, we're not getting the critical nutrients we're working so hard to put in our bank account, right? Not just that, when our body thinks we're stressed, all the blood is flowing to our limbs because it's getting ready to run away from a tiger, not focus, because digestion is not an important function to survive at that point. So what I mean without distractions is like screens of any sort. Even the conversations you have with your meals should be on the happy side, avoid politics, avoid things that really upset you. There's a time and place for those conversations too. But when we're eating, we want to recall that image of the ocean waves. We really want to be peaceful, talk about things that really light us up with joy, or not talk at all. Drink only water, herbal teas, and homemade broths. So avoiding even smoothies and juices, unless it's a green juice and you really have the formula down, because juices and smoothies can have a lot of added sugars to them. In another one, another webinar that I did earlier this week, someone asked, like, is the naked juice smoothies okay? And I was like, no, that's basically like drinking soda. It does have some vitamins and minerals, but it's actually been all destroyed because it's been so processed down. Then they have to heat it up so it doesn't go moldy in the, and then it's like on the refrigerator shelf for who knows how long. I don't consider those healthy drinks. Water, herbal teas, and homemade broths. No more than 2 servings of alcohol per week. Alcohol is a huge determinant for weight loss and really bad for your health. Even 1 glass of alcohol, especially once we hit 35 and older, it can really start messing with our insulin, estrogen, and testosterone. And it really impacts our liver, making weight loss really hard. And, we know that when we drink alcohol, we loosen up and it's easier for us to like reach for snacks and nuts and, just have it's harder to kind of control what we're putting into our mouths. It also disturbs our sleep. And I am going to talk about sleep and weight loss because that is huge. And then we want to move daily. So I'm not asking you to go for a marathon or anything daily, but daily movement is crucial. So even walking around the block, doing like these weight exercises, just stretches, anything that feels good for your body, but just do it daily. If you really, really want to lose weight, studies do show that you should be doing at least 30 minutes of anaerobic exercises every day. There's a lot happening in the chat, so I'm just going to take a moment to read what's so I could, Is an example of excess grain, heavy consumption of bread, but the bread breaks down to sugar. Yes, so that's exactly what happens. Like if we are just eating bread all the time, and especially what I call like just bread on its own, like a naked carb, but we could dress it up. Like if we take a sourdough bread and we put mashed, slices of avocado, and then maybe slices of like a hard-boiled egg, and then sprinkle spices on it and even top it with some like parsley and basil. Now that is a dressed up piece of bread, and it's offering you a lot more. But if it's just like bread on its own, it's going to just break down to sugar really, really quickly without giving you much nutrients. I don't really understand this, but we getting any incentives for this?
Don't worry about the question. I answered that directly.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing for Americans to redo is the breakfast. Not just Americans. I think most Western societies have an issue how we start our days. And I think it's that whole convenience thing and the industrial food like system that, we walk into a grocery store and we just see aisles and aisles of processed food. And the breakfast aisle is so big. I'm doing no meat May, fast till noon, and break my fast with a bowl of mixed berries, no sugar, sweets, and I do eat fish. I mean, if it's working for you, but I would say don't break your fast with berries, because berries are, low sugar food, but the first thing you want to break your fast with is probably vegetables, and that'll be better for your insulin levels. Vegetables and like a protein source, and then like the berries would be your snack. But it sounds like a really good protocol. I mean, I think anything can work. I think this would work for you for an entire year. So then we have to switch to a more sustainable model. Yeah, I think, the numbers range. It's hard to get an accurate number of how much sugar an American eats, but it's definitely upwards closer to like, maybe I would even say like 60 grams. So we're hitting summertime. What are all the summertime foods we can really enjoy that's going to aid us in our health goals, our weight loss goals? Is I would say if you can visit the farmer's market, what's available in the summer are like apples, not just red delicious apples, but all sorts of apples, like pink apples, rose apples. There's so many different types of apples, apricots, and like stone fruits. I would say stone fruits do tend to have a little bit more sugar content. So, have one or two only a day. Bell peppers, cantaloupes, cucumber, herbs. We discredit herbs, but herbs are a really great way to get more vitamins and minerals and fiber into our diet. So sometimes, even me as a nutritionist, like I don't feel like cooking, but I always usually have like a pot of rice in my fridge that I cook for a couple of days. And then sometimes what I do is I just put a fried egg over it and sprinkle a lot of herbs, and that can make a quick breakfast or a quick meal when I'm really tired and can't muster the energy for anything else. Beans, lima beans, fava beans, green beans are all in season in the summertime. Okra, squash blossoms, squash, if you can get them, they're really delicious. I love having squash blossom quesadillas. They're so delicious. Zucchini and summer squashes are really nice too in the summertime. If you can't, there is no farmer's market around you, you can't visit it. You can just still seek out local produce, what's growing seasonally. That is often sometimes what our body needs in the summertime. Seasonal foods is what our bodies are naturally adapted to eat. So, these are more cooling foods. In the hot sun, we want cooling foods like melons and apples and herbs and beans. They're lighter on the digestive system. They don't weigh you down. But what do we get in the winter time when it's colder? We get a lot of heavy foods like squashes, pumpkins. We eat like a lot of stewed meats and things, but then that makes us heavy. It makes us feel warm and safe in the winter time. But though, you don't want a bowl of like soup in the summer with like pumpkins and heavy vegetables. So sometimes going with the seasons is actually really nice to change up where we're eating, but also honoring what our body needs. So is changing our diet or improving our diet enough to lose weight? In many, many cases, yes. Just making the changes I have said, you will start making a lot of progress with your overall health. You might not start seeing significant changes physically, but if you were to do like a blood test and you did this for 3 months, and then you took another blood test, you should see some improvement in your cholesterol, your thyroid, your insulin, vitamin D, all of those. But in some cases, changing your diet is not enough. And this is what I want to talk about. Yes, I think, if you have tried, let's say you've tried every diet under the sun and you just haven't been able to lose weight, I would say get a thorough lab testing done. I think I have a slide on that, because then you can find out about your deficiencies also, and where you might need to like supplement or get extra help and have extra focus on. So one of the biggest deficiencies as Americans in general we experience is a vitamin D deficiency. And vitamin D is linked, having sufficient vitamin D, optimal level of vitamin D is linked to energy, it's linked to weight loss. So being vitamin D deficient is linked to all of these things and more that I've listed. But one of them is actually muscle weakness, weight gain, imbalanced hormones. So people who are usually obese and diabetic, they usually have really, really low numbers of vitamin D. So I think, just correcting your vitamin D levels, one, it's going to make you feel a lot better in your body. An optimal level of vitamin D, your doctor will, like, you could show up at 20 and they're like, oh, okay, that's not, if you were 19, I'd say you were deficient, but 20, like that's 19 and 20 is not a big number. So take a look at your labs yourself. Don't wait for your doctor to tell you. They often overlook it. And I've seen this over and over again. You want your numbers to be 50 to 80. And that is when you're going to feel good. So these are your optimal lab values. And these are the labs. If you are weight loss resistant, or all of a sudden you've been diagnosed with something, you want to get all these tests done to get to the root cause, to learn why that is happening. And then you can do a very personalized diet for yourself, take personalized supplements, and even medication if it's needed. So again, you want to check your vitamin D3 levels, and optimally, you want them to be between 50 and 80. You want your fasting blood glucose to be 75 to 90. Standard, they say up to 99. I think if you're already at 99, you're already in the danger zone. We want to keep you far away from the danger zone, right? Like, we wouldn't let our kids run and play ball near a sharp cliff. That's how I sometimes feel about these lab numbers. Like, you could get to 99 with your fasting blood glucose levels, and the doctor's saying you're fine, but that's literally like you're sitting on the edge right there. Even with your your hemoglobin A1C, you want it to be less than 5.5%. At 5.5% and higher, that's considered pre-diabetic. 1 in 3 Americans have, 1 in 3 people globally have pre-diabetes, and they don't even know it. And you could take a snapshot of this. I don't need to go through all of it, and for the sake of time. So I know, in the summertime, we want to do cleanses, and, so I say, instead of doing cleanses, adapt to at least one of the things from my top 10 hacks. And then the other cleanses that can actually really improve our health is doing not like a physical cleanse, like I've been talking about diet, your body, even your environment, but a mental one, like a digital detox, journaling, working on improving relationships, or a spiritual one, meditating, looking at releasing thought patterns. A lot of that can actually also aid in weight loss, but also helping you feel better. So sleep is so important and critical to weight loss. So adults who sleep less than 7 hours each night are more likely to say they've had health problems, weight gain, heart attack, asthma. And then, insufficient sleep affects all areas of our health, like our metabolic health, insulin, digestion, food sensitivities, our muscle repair, our brain function. So even if like on the days that you sleep really poorly are the days you're more likely going to drink more caffeine and reach for things that boost your energy up, like a donut or chocolate. So this is how sleep is tied with weight. And so if you really want to focus on having a healthy weight, you should also focus on getting good restful sleep, not the kind of sleep where you're tossing and turning all night also, but you've still slept 7 hours to 8 hours. You really want to make sure you're sleeping through the night. Weight loss supplements, there are so many of them. I'd say most of them are garbage. A lot of them are dangerous, but you know, these are more, the supplements I have listed are here, more like wellness supplements are going to start helping you in all the areas, like just taking omega-3 fatty acids with EPA and DHA, about 2,000 milligrams. That's going to help start lowering your, that's going to help lower inflammation in your body overall. This is going to improve your heart health and your insulin levels and your brain health. Vitamin D3, most people are deficient. I would say take about 5,000 IUs daily and notice how much better you're going to feel. It is totally possible to have too much vitamin D. So I wouldn't go more than that until you do a blood test and check your levels. A high quality multivitamin, multimineral. Magnesium is a key driver in weight loss and anxiety, but you want to take your magnesium at nighttime because it can make you sleepy. Probiotics have been shown to help you lose weight. So this is what you want. You want a super high quality probiotic. I have a link for a probiotic that I truly think is absolutely wonderful. So if you wanted that to email me. But this, you want to look for 10 different strains and it has at least 50 billion CFUs. Most of the supplements I would say are on the groceries, you know, you find at the grocery store, even at like places like Kirkland or Costco. I would not recommend them. You want to do the high quality stuff. The problem with supplements is they're unregulated and they can actually damage your liver. These are just some extra ones that you could do research on and look into, but all of these are really great too. Like berberine is almost as equivalent to metformin, which metformin is a diabetes medication and it works really, really well, but I wouldn't just take it. You would want to work with someone. This also is a link where I have super high quality supplements that I'm talking about here in the right form. So a lot of people take magnesium citrate, which is okay, but it's not as absorbable, and citrate mostly will help you if you're constipated, but the biglycinate form is the ones that's going to actually get absorbed into your system, work synergistically with vitamin D and help with all your wellness goals. Well, we're almost running out of time. So I wanted to just, wait, I went so fast. Okay, one last thing I just wanted to go through is that if you don't get enough sleep, this is what happens. And this is an Instagram account called Glucose Goddess, and she does these really great experiments with the continuous glucose monitor. So let's say this bottom picture is you got enough sleep and then you had a whole milk cappuccino. See how your insulin didn't actually rise that much, but you had a bad night of sleep and you had the same cappuccino, and look how much your insulin rose. So you really want to drive in the factor of how sleep is so important for your health. And the road may be bumpy, but stay committed to the process. And, you know, changing your diet can be an emotional factor. And so if you stick to it, I think you can really see significant improvements. This is just like a summary of everything we talked about. And my one last quote. And I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. It took a long breath and replied, I have been waiting my whole life for this. And I think it's such a beautiful quote because we're always picking on our body instead of seeing our body as something that we can, a place where we can be friends. Okay, so I can answer questions, and I could stay on a little bit longer too, because the presentation went for a long time.
Hi, I'm a diabetic, and I had a stroke, and my I'm like sweating every day. I don't know. I'm like, oh, I'm 61, and I should be having flashes.
You're
It feels like
having
a flash.
flashes?
Yes. I don't understand, and I drink a lot of coffee.
I think Nimisha froze. Nimisha, I'm not too sure if you can hear it. Okay, there you go.
Oh, yeah, it froze for a second. I'm not sure. Oh, I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Why is I'm sweating? I'm a diabetic, and I'm sweating all the time, and my sleep is not good. My and my diet is not good because I'm scared with the sugar. Everything is sugar. I can't eat. It's a mind thing.
Yeah. You know, for what I would say, again, I don't, this is just general advice, not you specifically, because I would have to look at so much more detail. But I would say, I think you would benefit from a paleo type of diet where it's low grains and very minimal sugar, but high protein and high real food, fiber. And I think a lot of diabetics and stroke patients and even like patients with like epilepsy and Alzheimer's have seen really significant improvements with a paleo type of diet. And there's so many resources online and at the bookstore on how to adapt to a paleo diet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Someone asked if the presentation is online or can it be emailed?
Well, this is being recorded. I don't email out my presentations, but if you have a specific question, I'm happy to send you. I'm going to put my email address in the chat box, and so you can get it.
I asked that question, but my question, but more so is, if they're, that's even better. If this is a recorded presentation, is there a way for us to download this recording or get access to the recording
We're
after the presentation?
actually going to send it out within the next 2 weeks or so. Were you looking for that, Patrick?
Say that one more time. Was I looking for what?
Wait, did you want it before that? Before 2 weeks?
No,
or
no,
2 weeks fine? Okay, perfect.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Take your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, but how would I get it? Do I have to give? I guess I give you my email. We're
gonna text it out. If you got the text information for this, we're gonna send it back out
by text. Okay. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And if there are no other questions, I'd like to thank Nimisha for today's session. It's always so insightful to get other tips that we need for our health and just overall wellness. I like the fact that this is a wellness journey. It's not just a quick thing. It's not a seasonal thing. It's an everyday thing. And I just thank you all for joining us today, and look out for more virtual and in-person sessions. Tomorrow, we are at Brooklyn Housing Works doing a skincare session. So if you are interested, join us there at 1:30. We thank you guys for coming out today. Enjoy and be well. Take care, everyone.